Okay. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I'm back. Hi, everybody. So, ouch. I hit my head. Okay. I need to stop being clumsy. But hi, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about the Naziah Harris case and the impact that Naziah's situation has had on our black community, given that Jarvis Butts is now passed on to the other life. So, if y'all don't know about Naziah's story, Naziah was a 13-year-old girl who was groomed by her biological family, assaulted by her mother's boyfriend, and got pregnant, and then was unalived. Her and her unborn baby was unalived. So we're going to be talking about that and how many other different cases have popped up where young individuals below the age of 16 have been going missing, and a lot of the cases have not been spoken about to where there is no updates anymore. The cases either have gone cold or the justice that was given was not enough, in my humble opinion. So yeah, that's basically what we're going to talk about. Because in a sense, it's not fair when situations like that happen. But then, one, we cannot judge because we're not God. Only God can judge. Two, we have to be mindful that it involves an underage child. Three, we also have to be mindful that as much as certain family members was involved, we cannot cast judgment on all her family members because not all of them were aware she was in that situation. So as much as we might see her family could have done more to protect her and whatever, her mom could have done better. Given that Naziah does not have her father in her life and stuff like that, in my opinion, more help, more focus should have been placed on her mother's mental health. I believe strongly that the situation could have been avoided. Given that the focus was placed more on mental health, and mental health is something we does ignore nowadays. Because you will see little kids being on social media and then they'll be quick to say they fast. In the Caribbean household, when you call a child fast, that means she rushing to be grown. But not all kids willingly want to be grown because right now we have a lot of parents who leave their children to take care of one another. So we loosely use the term fast or grown in certain instances because sometimes parents have 9, 10 children and the oldest have to take care of all of them, go to school, work a job, make money, and then take care of all these siblings and the money barely spending on them. If you understand where I'm coming from, more or less. But the moral of the story, whether Naziah looked for it or whatever, like how people claim, we shouldn't be judging her to the point where she say she deserves it. In my humble opinion. In my very, very, very humble opinion, we shouldn't be quick to say she wanted it. Okay. So Edit. Justice. Okay, cool. Alright, so give me 1 second. I'll be back. Hold on. Alright, so just to simply put the Naziah's case, Naziah Harris was a 13-year-old girl who disappeared on January 9th, 2024 after getting off her school bus on Detroit's east side. Investigators later determined that she had been groped by Javaris Butts, a 43-year-old man known to her family. Hold on, everybody. Alright. Prosecutors said he had been abusing her for years and that she was pregnant at the time of her disappearance, allegedly with his child. Butts admitted to killing Naziah shortly after meeting her the day she vanished. Evidence included disturbing messages and prior abuse allegations involving multiple young women. Among those victims, allegedly, one of his daughters was later diagnosed with HIV. Her body was never found, though authorities believe it was disposed of in the Rogue River. In February 2026, Butts pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, multiple sexual assault charges involving minors, and was sentenced to 35 to 60 years in prison. As part of the plea deal, he was required to provide information about the location of her body, but those details were never publicly released. The aftermath of Naziah's case resulted in March 26, 2026, just weeks after sentencing, Butts was found dead in prison, reportedly by suicide. His death left many unanswered questions, especially about the exact location of Naziah's remains. Her family and her community continues to seek closure as justice was not properly dealt, as her body still has not been recovered to this day. This case stands out to me as it involves grooming and abuse of a minor over time. Highlights failure to detect ongoing abuse amongst our minors. Remains partially unsolved due to the missing body that we may or may not find. Sparks calls for better protection systems for our vulnerable youth, especially under the age of 16. At the end of the day, Nazaya did not ask or deserve. At the end of the day, Nazaya did not ask to be dumped in the Rogue River. At the end of the day, in my opinion, Jarvis should have never been left alone, given the fact of the severity of his case. We allow a lot of child predators and molesters to be brought back into society just for them to repeat the same thing over and over and over again. How many children are going to take for them to be murdered, sexually assaulted, abused before we put the proper laws and legislation to protect them? As somebody who was sexually assaulted myself, it's not nothing easy having to go through with that situation, being told you fast, being told you wanted it, because that's how society paints you. Being told that you will not amount to nothing in life after going through said situation. Being told that you will never be anything in life. I had to go through that. I had to go through the whole process of mentally preparing myself for society, given that I'm somebody with a low self-esteem. Nazaya honestly did not deserve that. She should have at least been given the chance to make a decision on her own. Yes, she's a child, but she was never given a chance to say, hey, I want this baby. Hey, I don't want this baby. She was just stripped from us on this earth. At the end of the day, she will no longer be in pain, suffering, because she not only had herself to take care of at that age, she had her younger siblings who were going through the same thing. We're not even hearing what happened to her younger siblings, if they were taken from the mother, the grandmother, or what have you not. Because as much as people may say her mom is innocent, I strongly believe her mother could have intervened and stopped the situation to an extent. Right now, we have no justice for Zaya, and none whatsoever. Her body can't even be laid to rest properly because we don't know where her body is. And that's the thing that kills me. We don't know where Zaya's body is. We will not be able to put her to rest. We will not be able to. We won't be able to allow peace. Now, I'm not saying the people who allowed this to happen to her to be a form of peace, to be at any form of peace. All I'm saying is the people who knew Zaya growing up from a baby till the age of 12 deserves that peace of mind to know, hey, at the end of the day, Zaya was going through a lot, so at least God decided to take her home and prevent her from being an adult and possibly becoming another statistic, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, when the justice system allows for Jarvis to unalive himself in a prison facility, allegedly, because they don't know whether he unalived himself or whether somebody in the prison unalived him. It's alleged that he unalived himself. What makes the whole situation sad is that Zaya was actually pregnant, allegedly. Now, humbly, respectfully, the schools need to do better as well in identifying actual abuse victims. Because if you know, the report on the mommies in the mommy sector of YouTube that do not meet standard for having children and raising them. Hi, Mysterious, right? As much as the schools will call CPS a lot of mothers time to come up with a lie to remove themselves from being caught up in the legal system, I don't believe enough is being done. We need laws where now I'm not saying force a child to tell what's going on privately because most times parents will escalate their abuse once a child speaks on what's going on in their home. But in my humble, very humble opinion, counseling systems need to be better. Now, where we go wrong in our counseling systems is as a counselor, you're trained, whether you're a peer of a fellow student in a school, a classmate of a fellow student in school, or just a professionally trained counselor, you are trained to allow your client the decision to make choices of their own. You don't force them to pick a choice or you don't tell them to pick a choice. And most people will tell you they don't go to counseling because it feels like the counselor just wants to be in your business. Now, that is true because I have experience going to counseling and the counselor instead they go to my parents. Didn't want nobody to know of the situation at the time. But instead they go to my parents, which I would have been more comfortable in the lady telling my parents in the first place. She decided to go and tell one of the teachers, and the teachers had it spreading all around school. And nobody in the school did not like me. So that is one of the downsides to counseling. As much as we may say do therapy, do counseling, sometimes people need to heal on their own, but they need to vent. Sometimes, especially we females, we don't shut up. We go on and on and on and on and on and make it about ourselves, especially when it comes to our male counterparts. We don't allow the males to vent. Then we laugh at the males when they do certain things in the public eye. Or we shut them down. I hope you're understanding where I'm coming from. We know, so as far as we know, we only know that Javaris killed himself, unalived himself. We don't know whether or not has Naziah's siblings been removed. Are they alive? Are they good? We don't know none of that. We don't know the update on Naziah's mom because allegedly Naziah's mom was doing the white powdery stuff, allegedly. We need to do better as a society. We honestly do. There was another incident in the Caribbean where I'm from. I'm from St. Lucia, if you don't know. In Guyana, involving Adriana Young and the Double Gate Hotel. A lot of people think the States is bad. The States is nowhere remotely close to being bad when it comes to these situations. Right here in St. Lucia, in Trinidad, Guyana, Jamaica, even Jamaica, kids will not go to school. They will go by another man. Man knowing he's over age and the child is underage will still sleep with the child. And that is the triggering part about the whole situation. You know that poor baby is underage and you still decide to lay with that poor baby. Say it and then have society thinking that poor baby wanted it. It goes for both males and females. Society will not take the time to say, why that girl don't go home? They will not take the time to say, that girl parents abusing her, that girl parents doing this, that girl parents. No. Society will automatically say, F it. That little child ran away from home because she didn't want her parents to discipline her. She didn't want the correction from her parents. She don't like take correction. And that is something we in society we fail. We fail to realize. We were once in these kids' shoes. We do realize it, but we don't fail. We fail to realize that we were worse than those kids and we became something out of it. A lot of us didn't eat. A lot of us, we used to run away from home, but we will judge these little children now and be like, oh, this generation is the end of us. What are we really doing to correct this generation? You understand what I'm saying? What are we doing? Are we, hey, Auntie Mimi? Are we really just going to now? When I first heard of Nazaya's story, that's all I was hearing from all sides of the story that Nazaya willingly went with Jarvis. Nazaya's mom was jealous of her. Okay, yes, I would be jealous, to be very honest, if my daughter was getting things I never had. But not jealous to the point where I would allow my daughter to be taken from me out of sight, out of mind, and not fight for my daughter, not look for my daughter. And what triggers me is the fact that Jarvis was the only one in the whole equation that went to jail because he actively was doing a crime. Nazaya's siblings on the court stand said they would go days without eating. And they lived with their mom's mother. They lived with their grandmother. Their grandmother was the one treating them horrible. The grandmother was the one allowing them to go to what they as they please. And Nazaya does not only have brothers and sisters, Nazaya has cousins and so on and so forth. Why was the mother never taken into custody? All the adults should, that is true. All of them should have gone into jail. Why was Nazaya's mother never taken into custody and mentally evaluated to see what is the real cause of her mother not being capable to take care of them? Why wasn't the grandmother arrested because the kids were left in her custody because her daughter was unable to take care of her children? Why was the grandmother also accused of doing inappropriate activities? The grandmother and the daughter was accused of doing inappropriate activities by those same minors in front of said minors. Like, a lot of questions are left being played through a lot of our minds, but we will not get the answer because, again, the justice system is flawed. A lot of times we just sit and we say these kids, and I will always go back to the fact that a lot of people to this day, if you go on TikTok and you go through a lot of the old comments, that a lot of people were quick to say side with the stories that the grandmother and mother, especially the grandmother, was giving. The grandmother was the one that started putting in people's heads that Nazaya was fast. Nazaya had a boyfriend in school. The same person she accused of being Nazaya's boyfriend is the same person who came and said that Nazaya was with Jarvis, that they seen Nazaya with Jarvis, her friends. One of her friends that she was supposed to go to school with was the one that said they never met up with Nazaya when they were supposed to. As a grown man, what really is going through your head for you to, even though an underage child comes up and say, hey, I like to see you, let's be in a relationship. A lot of these young people, and I had to go through it myself, I had to learn the meaning of love the hard way. I had to learn what it is to be in a relationship the hard way. At that age of 10, the age of 13, we just hitting the pinnacle age of teenage life. We don't know nothing. You have to be a very, very sick individual to allow a minor to do these things for money. That is what it all boils down to, money. Y'all were not that broke. Y'all were not that capable. Y'all have neighbors. Y'all can go to their neighbors and be like, hey, I have Nazaya here. I have her siblings here living with me. Her mom is not in that best of a situation. Can you assist me to take care of them? Most neighbors will give you resources to go to a shelter or something to help put them in the system where you have custody of them, but the system are taking care of them. Like they had so many different resources, so many different avenues that this whole Nazaya situation could have gone. Yes, it's given Nazaya mother was jealous of Nazaya and the way she was going to become a very successful young adult. But the mom looks like she has her problems of her own because allegedly the mother herself was abused. So it's like a generational curse. And generational curses are something that is very difficult to break because sacrifices have to be made by the individual is going to break it. What is very worrisome is that the fact that all this is happening and no update of Nazaya's siblings have been given anywhere on any news platform. We don't know if Nazaya's siblings is still in the custody of the grandmother. We don't know the state, if they're in the hands of the state and what the state is doing to counsel them and stuff like that, because Nazaya was the oldest, allegedly, and Nazaya was the one taking care of her younger siblings. That is why us three actors in the mommy sector always say not every mother you see in the sector deserves to be a mother. We have people like Olivia. I understand which man get her pregnant again. I was surprised. We have mothers like Jasmine Dukes. Like these mothers don't deserve. And the fact that these situations being unfold on a daily basis and they still actively groom their kids on the internet and the kids are not being removed from their custody baffles me. It baffles me and it hurts my heart because at the end of the day, just why? Maybe, just maybe. And Jasmine Dukes is another active example of a mother who is set for failure and who will want the sympathy of many when something happens to her kids. And I just hope it does not reach to the point where it becomes an Isaiah situation where her oldest daughter is taken advantage of by an older man. Because the way she dresses her female daughters, making them wear clothes that's too tight, making them like, it's disgusting. It truly is disgusting. We say these kids fast, but then we don't realize the way we dress our kids, the things we have them do on social media, is us making them fast, not them making themselves fast, because they will think what's being done is right. Like, we don't realize a lot of what's going on in society is because we as parents, we as individuals allow it. And I feel bad, like I legit feel bad because being somebody not from America, being somebody who sees things like that happen on a daily basis, it hurts. Like when I say it hurts, it truly, really hurts. Nazaya should have never been placed in that situation, and the justice system failed her because not only was she looking for help, we allowed her and her siblings to be sent back into the same situation that allowed them to be a statistic in our society that we don't take accountability for, because as soon as something happens, especially with the young people in society, we like, oh, this generation doomed. Not because your generation was perfect means it was perfect. I know for a fact my generation, at the time my generation was coming up, we had a lot of learning to do. Right? And having kids is what led to this generation thinking that the toxic type of love is love. We allowed our hearts to become cold. Not every situation that I've heard so far justified for you giving up on love, for you giving up on finding a partner for your child. Most people, I get it because of age. They don't want to go through it again. But what you as a 21-year-old saying you don't believe in love anymore, when you've barely experienced what love is? We only focus on the bad so much so that we don't even realize they have successful 18, 19-year-olds getting married, having children, and 5 years later, what happening? They're 24, still married, successful, and those that in the late 20s going on into the 30s can't even settle down. They're just having children. Understand where I'm coming from? And it sickens me that a lot of people still blame Naziah. Who would Naziah have gone to speak about the situation in the first place? Who would she have gone to speak about the situation? No one cannot answer that question because the answer is nobody. If an own grandmother could sit on a cot stand and say Naziah was a fast little girl, who in that family, who in the family could she have gone to and said, hey, my mommy's boyfriend is touching me inappropriately? I gotta wait for an answer because the answer is nobody. And the fact that an innocent little unborn baby was taken away, and Naziah did not have the choice to say, I want the baby or I don't want the baby. Two people that could help her is sickening. And the fact that the one person who could have buried this little girl so that her spirit can be at peace is now a dead man. I hope all this is piecing together. I'm definitely never gonna stop talking about Naziah or Adriana Young. The Adriana Young in Guyana story still touches me to this day because they ruled her case as an accident. They ruled Adriana's story as an accident, that the owner of the hotel had no fault. And that hotel, that double day hotel, is known for having multiple young individuals go missing. That is the peaceful part. That is the most annoying part. Adriana's case was ruled as an accident. An Adriana case is more of a spiritual aspect. The Zaya case just went cold because the person who could give information on her body, where to find her body to peacefully lay her to rest, is now unalive. Sometimes I just wonder why human brains are wired. Only unless it happens to me, I care about it. I literally have to wonder sometimes. The fact that none of the adults in Nazia's life, apart from Jarvis, was prosecuted, when enough eyewitness evidence can say, yeah, so and so adult was involved, so and so adult had a part to play in it. Why wasn't the grandmother arrested? Why wasn't the mother arrested? But guys, on an honest note, I will be back talking about this. I will never stop talking about this until we get some answers, until we start a movement. I just feel bad for the siblings. Already lose the one person that was taking care of them, to now having to be in the care of adults who clearly don't know what they do. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe at the bottom of this video to give your opinions on this situation. We'll be back. Bye, guys.